This episode of Reality's Edge with Doc and Buddy is as beautiful as I love it. Dr. Simeon Hine is I love him. And Buddy, he's so crazy. I love it. I love it. It's all non-local too. I love non-local.
On Reality's Edge with Doc and Buddy, we are not afraid to explore the fringes of known science, to step boldly into the darkness, and even examine the worlds of extraterrestrial civilizations. They could even be right here, near us.
If you watch Reality's Edge with Doc and Buddy, you will learn there are other dimensions. You will learn how to connect to beyond.
Well, hey there, buddy. How are you doing today? How's everyone doing? Yeah, I'm going to tip my mic in your direction. Hey, I'm tipping my mic to you, my hat to you. I think this should work. We are winging it again, gang. Not too scary. Hey, so we've got Thomas here. Thomas, how are you doing? Yes. No way. Wow. I had no idea, Thomas. Yeah, and Thomas, I was with Thomas the other day on the UFO Man show, which is, thanks, Thomas. It's a cool show, and I watched another episode. Right, you can hear Buddy through my mic, though, right, Thomas? And guys, yeah, you can't hear. You can't hear. Nothing? No sound? You can hear me. Well, they got it. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to turn off echo. How about this? How about now? How about now, guys? Gremlins. How's that?
Still make it visually interesting.
Can you hear Buddy now? I put him in the mic.
Check, testing. 1, 2, 3. Check, testing. Third eye. Check, testing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Check, testing.
How is it now, guys? Can you hear? Can you hear Buddy? Keep talking for a second, Buddy.
Check, testing.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Check,
I
testing.
got you.
Yay.
I got you. Okay, so let me know, guys, if you don't hear anything. I've got the mic right on to Buddy. I've turned off echo cancellation, so you should be coming through my mic.
Check, testing. Check.
Hey, just gone. We've got Shawnee. Thank you. We've got Renee, and we've got Julie and CE5. How's everyone doing here? Thanks a lot for showing up. And, oh, man. So, COVID. Yeah, COVID's a big thing, and we are going through some serious times, folks. So, Buddy, Thomas is telling us that UFO Man got diagnosed with COVID. So, we wish him and everyone else the best.
Yes, prayers, please. Positive thinking.
Yeah, it's a serious situation, but we're going to get through this, folks, because humans find a way to survive.
And you know what? We can look at all the dark side of it, but there's beautiful things happening right now, too. People really realizing that we're not individuals. We really need each other. We're uplifting each other. The environment is getting a break. We're looking at people that we ignored in the past, and we look past and we realize that they've been heroes all along. and we didn't appreciate them enough. There is a lot of wonderful things happening too.
Yeah.
So it's important to put the positivity out there too.
No,
it's easy to get down.
It's true, buddy. And look how strong we are. We can adapt. We have a lot of positive qualities in difficult situations.
Yes.
And folks, if this wasn't happening, people would not be open to these new topics that we're talking about either, because if you're really comfortable and everything is going really well, you don't want to change. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. I know people have had it. Buddy had it. Buddy had COVID last April, right? March, April?
Yeah, the end of February. Or was it March? Yeah, maybe the beginning of March.
Yeah.
And you know what? I just saw a doctor recently and said, you know what, buddy? It's been so many months. You're susceptible again. And I said, really? You're not, like, how long does your immunity when you've had it before last? And they don't know, really.
Yeah, they don't know. I called my HMO. They said it's only 3 months. Then I read in Science magazine the next day, latest issue, 5 months from Mount Sinai Hospital down in Manhattan. Yeah.
Yes.
5-month immunity. And now some people are saying 6 to 8 months, but nobody knows. And then there's this new strain that came over from the UK, which ended up in Colorado. And
California, too, they just announced.
We don't know. So, guys, here's the thing. We're facing a lot of unknowns. We're facing a lot of uncertainty, but this is what we face every time we do an RV session. Right, buddy? We sit down with a blank sheet of paper, and it turns out okay. And you're all panicked. Oh, my God. It's a blank sheet of paper. What am I going to write? And the universe fills in information. You follow the protocol. Whatever style you do, it all works. And somehow order comes out of the chaos.
You know, and it's like every one of our days, too. Every one of our days, something really, we can think about the most negative things out there or the positive things. You know, you just have to focus on the constructive. You know, if you focus on the destructive or the negativity, it is a self-feeding, you know, you help to create it out there. We know consciousness and intent affects the universe. So, you know, the most positive thinking helps. You know, I got to admit, I've been up and down lately.
Yeah.
You know, all sorts of different things. The holidays, people are missing people who've passed and all these different things. But I learned something really beautiful recently. My phone crashed and I was right at the beginning of the blizzard. It got wet and it croaked. And I felt so disconnected from everyone. And without my family, my phone is my connection to you guys, which are now my family. And I felt so disconnected, and people came together and helped me. And, you know, it's so funny because, you know, one day I'm helping someone else and the next day they're helping me. And it made me realize that we're such loving social creatures. You know, we really do help each other when the chips are down, and that makes us all better. Humanity's worth saving. Aliens, I know you're listening.
Yeah, no, it's very challenging. There's just a lot of real misery and destruction and random death, and this is very challenging for all of us.
Divisiveness.
I've never seen anything like it.
It's unbelievable. You know, hopefully the Galactic Federation, according to the Israeli general, will save us.
Well, buddy, it just so happens, now that you mentioned the Galactic Federation, I decided to get to the truth about this. I know I did a remote viewing of it with my comrades at Farsight Institute 25 years ago, well, roughly. But I decided to go to the source of truth, Snopes.com.
Wise man.
I went to Snopes just now to see what they said about the Galactic Federation, and they said, quote, this idea from the Israeli general of the space command in Israel, whatever his official title was, he doesn't have the support of the scientific community. You hear that, folks?
Wow.
He doesn't have the support of the scientific, like, whoever had the support of the scientific community besides Isaac Newton? He's the only one in history. Nobody else ever had the support. No, it's true. Einstein, Max Planck, you name it. No one had the support of the scientific community. You ever hear of someone called Copernicus? and none of those guys had support of the scientific community. So if we look Snopes, Renee, it's not Snopes. It's that the bastion of truth on the internet, of anything you can look up if it's true, and they'll tell you. And they told us this is a rumor. There's no evidence, and that NASA has issued a statement against the Galactic Federation. It's on the Snopes site. It says, "We love space exploration, and we like to stick to the facts, and we don't believe in the Galactic Federation." So we don't know, buddy, at this point, if it really exists, because NASA, Snopes.
Well, I think one thing is a tip-off that specific story is a little weird. He mentioned quite a few different things about this Galactic Federation, one of which was that they told Trump not to do disclosure. And Trump is very independent. I don't think he would take, being threatened by the Galactic Federation even, despite the fact that I think, wasn't the Galactic Federation, or maybe it was just the Federation in Star Trek. But I thought
Federation of Planets.
Oh, Federation of Planets.
Yeah.
I believe in a council that there are alien groups, extraterrestrial groups that come together under like causes. And there's a long history of that belief, which is different than the Federation, which is supposed to be a larger group, and they have this base on Mars with humans, according to the general. I wonder what other people think.
What do you guys think? Thomas says that NASA is on a tight leash, which is true.
Agreed, yeah.
We've had many people from NASA that talk to me now, and the astrobiologist who quit, Richard, what was his name again? Richard, I have a couple of videos of him from the astrobiologist that said they didn't want him talking about bacteria in meteorites found on Earth, even though some Russian scientists just came out again this year and said there's no doubt that, just what Richard told me, that there's no doubt these are bacteria and fossilized organic life. They don't come from here. NASA,
also,
and one more thing. Shawnee, too, says people who built the Titanic had the full support of the scientific community.
Ooh, lovely comment. Thank you. That was a good one. I like that one.
Snopes, schmopes. I agree. This is, guys, I just want to say one thing, buddy, and then I'll let you continue. Forget scientific consensus. Let's get something straight here. There's never been a scientific consensus. There's only a scientific consensus in the Soviet Union and communist China. Okay, there you get consensus. You don't have consensus in free societies.
And in a way, that's great, because that allows for innovation, and you don't get stuck in a wrong perspective for too long. Yeah.
Anytime you hear someone saying, well, that doesn't have the support of the scientific community, it's probably true. That the scientific community has been wrong over and over. Remember the book, 100 Scientists Prove Einstein Wrong? I remember reading that one in college in the stacks. 100 Scientists Prove Einstein Wrong. We don't remember a name of any of those 100 scientists anymore. That was the consensus.
Yeah, and I think we put so much weight on scientists to be the representation of ultimate truth because they have that term scientist in front of their name. And so many scientists have even disagreed with global warming. And, disagreed with the most fundamental things. So, we have to be very discriminating. We have to be very,
Well, science, here's my point, buddy. It's not about consensus. It's about a process of arriving at a relative sense of truth based on evidence. Modern people were evidence-based people. I think everyone here on the call, I think on the live stream here, I think you guys would agree, right? It's based on seeing some sort of anything. It's not based just purely on belief. It's based on some sort of evidence. Data. Any whatever you want to call it. Just something you can corroborate with the belief. And it isn't based on consensus. It's based on a process of dialogue and discussion. And it's been frozen since the rise of the military-industrial state. Since the end of World War II, it pretty much closed down a lot of discussion, and we kind of stopped evolving towards this bigger universe, and it led us to say, can't be true, right? Cold fusion, can't be true. UFOs can't be true. Roswell, it's a weather balloon. You know,
Even
Lubbock Lights,
scientists say-
it's plover. You just keep
Right?
you just keep denying it till you end up in this situation where we're at right now, where it's in the Senate defense bill that just passed, that the Department of Defense has to, every 180 days, report what they know about UFOs, because they're not sharing anything. It's totally closed in. And that's what you end up with consensus is. You don't end up with truth. You end up with someone's version of the truth, and that is not what we want. We really want to flesh it out for ourselves and make sense of this. Otherwise, it's all swamp gas. And I don't think that explanation's going over very well right now, buddy. What do you
No,
think?
it's dusted. It's been dusted. And
Swamp gas!
let me know.
That's
if
all it
correct.
is.
Didn't they say it's 180 days they have to give a report to Congress?
Yes.
So we, the people, may not even hear that because, they may determine humans are too scared. We would have a wild and crazy society if we knew that, we were not alone. Maybe just the opposite.
Yeah.
It's powerful stuff, and at least this guy came out. I like hearing scientists who are bold and daring enough to come out and talk about the subject, at least open people's minds.
So this is the thing that Nick Pope said about it, which they quoted Nick Pope on Snopes. Can you believe it? Someone that worked at a UFO desk for the Ministry of Defense is now quoted in Snopes as an authority figure on the truth. Now, I've met Nick. I like Nick. I'm just saying he's moved into the mainstream of debunking from as far as Snopes is concerned. And Nick says that this guy just came out with a book, and this could have been like a mistranslation from Hebrew to English. We don't know. We really don't know what he meant, and I guess that's possible. I just think it's very interesting that we're talking about this because here's the thing, buddy. We don't know that a galactic federation doesn't exist. We don't know that.
True.
It's just in the realm of possibility, and it may not be called the Galactic Federation. It could be called the Council, But
Yeah.
do you really think that there could be intelligent beings like us that wouldn't have any? What do you think? Any sort of organization, any sort of loose alliance or treaties, or would it all be anarchy?
It's hard. It's hard to say. But it makes me think. My gut instinct about him is that, it's a very dangerous and bold and daring thing to do. And a lot of people chalk it up to his age. He's 87. But oftentimes you see this in other UFO cases and histories with people. He could have been exposed to undeniable evidence, and most likely was at that position for so many years, exposed to evidence that UFOs are visiting us.
Right.
And then other little bits of rumors came together, and then he has the whole story. So he might have taken a kernel of undeniable evidence, like the satellite data, or like the Victor Vigiani NORAD documents that prove that there's these things coming in and out of the atmosphere that are moving and doing crazy stuff. He could have gotten some evidence, seen some photos of craft. He might have talked to the top U.S. people and heard this, that, and the other, and then maybe someone spiced it up a little and said, there's a federation. But it's interesting, and it's fascinating, and I'm glad it at least promotes the darn discussion. I've seen it on so many mainstream news channels.
We've seen it, and it just, I really had to laugh because I heard about this idea at Farsight, and
what did you guys determine when you viewed Mars and all these different things?
Well, we got stuff. It's unverifiable targets. We got stuff, and sometimes you get the same thing that other people got. You don't know really what that means, but it's an interesting, I'll tell you, buddy, and everyone, it's interesting just to imagine that such a thing exists, a galactic federation. I did get the same thing that apparently other people have gotten in these sorts of RV sessions, which is some sort of building, very tall, desolate building in a desolate landscape. Hard to make sense what that means. I don't know what that means, but I mean,
I've done some viewings too with Mars and the Moon.
Yeah.
And the Moon, I got a little bit of a history that they were on the far side of the Moon, and they have this outdoor structure with, lights. And then over time, would they calculate how advanced they react based on our ability to perceive them? Then they went underground. And then apparently that's the case with Mars as well too. I did get some underground stuff. And it's fascinating. What if? Let's entertain the notion. What if humans are working with extraterrestrials? Or there's humans with them? What does that mean? Where are they from? What time period? All these different things. It's fascinating to think about, but let's be grounded.
Well,
let's keep our feet on the
no,
ground.
I don't think we should be grounded, buddy. Hey, the signal has just shown up.
Woo!
It's just a turn of they're already in the new year in the UK. Hey guys, happy New Year over in the UK. You are already past midnight. You're already in 2021. I don't believe it.
They're ahead of us.
I can't tell you, buddy, how many times here in New York I've gone down to Times Square for these celebrations, and
oh my gosh, me too.
I've done it many times, and it's a madhouse. And this is the first year I've ever seen where that's not happening. And I imagine what is happening down there?
They're blocked off. People are not allowed to come into Times Square.
They're not allowed to come to Times Square. Now, folks, you can verify this for yourself. There are Times Square cams on the EarthCam website.
Yep.
We can see. I don't know what's happening on there, but I remember the crowds were so thick you would almost like get pushed around if so many people, and they put you in these kind of like a cage, and you can't leave for hours.
And the next day, my friend lived right there, and we went to the roof, and the confetti it's a storm, a whirlwind of confetti, and the next morning it is so trashed. There's so much wasted stuff all over the place. They are doing the ball drop. I hear they may do confetti stuff. I don't know, but wow, things are different.
Things are different, but here's my prediction, guys, for 2021. I'm going to make a prediction. I know we did this a year ago with Buddy, but here's my prediction. The multiverse is going to make an appearance in 2021. That's my prediction. So
are you getting a gestalt as to what form? Is it going to be
it's going to show up in the way it usually shows up, which is something mysterious and unknown and very hard to fathom because it's coming from another parallel reality. And I think it's going to show up in 2021 in some form that we haven't seen before. That's my prediction, and we can check in a year if I'm right or not. But something is going to show up that's going to be very hard to understand, and it's going to be a little indication that maybe we don't really know what's going on. How about that, folks? We don't really know where we are and what the F is going on, and there's going to be something that kind of verifies that. For someone like me that studies the multiverse, is a piece of evidence that says, even scientists might agree, we can't explain this. That would be one sort of simpler ways to think that there are realities next to us. I don't know, guys. What do you think about that? But that's my prediction for 2021. The multiverse will be making an appearance.
I love it. We had one of our previous shows, we were talking about the fractal nature of the universe and how fractals that are the same size can be antennas.
Yeah.
Fractals are the most powerful antenna shape, and that we can be reflecting, communicating with. There's a lot of possibilities out there, so you cannot deny the possibility. There's a non-zero probability even that the multiverse exists, and I think you're going to be right, Doc. My gestalt says you're right.
Well, we'll see. Just in our own, I was listening to Chant Hannah's end of the year broadcast.
I love her.
Yeah, and she had all these great. She had Jamie Foxx on, and Kevin Knuth. I think that's you pronounce him, from the SCU, the Scientific Coalition for UFO Studies. Rich Hoffman. It was a lot of great folks, and actually, I was going to be on it, but the scheduling wasn't quite right for my time zone, so I didn't make an appearance on the show. But Kevin said something that really stuck in my mind. I guess. Hey Patrick, how you doing? And I'm going to get to these comments. He said there's 300 billion stars in the Milky Way alone. 300 billion
in just one galaxy.
One galaxy is 300 billion. What the? We don't know anything, guys. 300 billion stars. 40.
How many galaxies there are? So there's 300 billion in our galaxy, and there's billions and billions of galaxies. Let's do the math here, folks.
And
we're not the only ones.
Already for exoplanets, I believe it's been estimated there so far, they think there are 40 billion Earth-like planets in our universe. Just our universe alone. So this is a lot of... For anyone to say, we definitely know this or that about the rest of the universe, we don't know. It's a big question mark at this point, but anything could be out there. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of it is showing up here. Let's get to some of our questions or comments here.
Great.
So, Zignal says, are we going to get our own ring gate?
Our own what?
Ring gate. What is, Zignal, what's a ring gate? I thought it's something to do with parallel reality. Is that Doctor Who? Is that Doctor Who? Just let us know. Shawnee says, evidence of the Holloman landing. That's interesting. That showed up in that documentary, UFOs, Past, Present, and Future. It's on YouTube, with Jacques Vallée.
Oh, yes. And that footage that they included, then they took it out or something
Yeah,
like that.
and it was in there again. I forgot. The guys who produced that, I've looked into that story so many times. Grant Cameron knows a lot about that one.
Yes.
But, yeah, they showed him the footage. Robert Emenegger.
Yes, that's the name.
Then he said, no, we changed our mind. We don't want the footage, but it's in there anyway. There's about 10, 15 seconds of something coming down. And then they said, we're going to distribute it to movie theaters. Then they said, we changed our mind. We're not distributing it to movie theaters. And they had every resource available to them at the time, buddy. They were in the Pentagon. It's such an guys. That's just an interesting story. UFOs, past, present, and future. A government-funded UFO documentary that is serious. They don't make fun of it. They talk about channeling and abductions and
they're very serious generals and people. I was surprised
very serious.
At the tone of the documentary.
Serious.
Exact. You know what? Too, if memory serves me correct, I think Disney had something to do with that. Is that correct?
Disney had on their own documentary.
Okay, it's a separate one.
Yes, they had their own funding from the government and their own documentary related to one of their exhibits, one of their rides. And there's that whole story of that Disney UFO connection. Disney there was another film, buddy, that Disney was a part of that was also very serious. Let's look into the future when aliens contact us, and they went through these scenarios. So
that sounds so weird because Disney has always had an entertainment demographic, and that's family and a tone. And for them to do that UFO stuff and that documentary, although they have done nature stuff, it seems very much like someone approached them and said, hey, we're going to give you funding to get this info out. It just seems a little weird to me. It just rings a little weird that Disney at the time would be the one, because it was such a powerhouse. But
there's always this belief that the intel agencies use Disney because, it's so acceptable that's how you get new ideas into the population is through Disney.
Yeah.
Right? And there's that whole story about one of the Disney animators. One of the 7 great Disney animators. Which one was it? Folks, you probably know this story because it was one of the Disney animators said he was given a lot of UFO material at some point and told to create stuff around this. I forget the details because when I heard these lectures and conferences, it was quite a while ago, but there is a Disney UFO connection. No doubt about it. And the government...
a desire to get more UFO stuff informationally into the media and into entertainment. That's why TTSA has an entertainment division. That's why the precursor to TTSA with, Joe Firmage and his group, they had an entertainment division. The same exact structure, the same exact multiple different, departments. It's kind of like a multi-pronged approach to the subject in entertainment.
Yes, it's a they got Tom DeLonge involved. Or he says he got them involved, but it looks like they were looking for somebody to move the ball forward. I mean, what a circus. This UFO disclosure thing is... just one thing, buddy. Zignal says a ring gate's a portal.
Oh, okay.
It's in. He doesn't want to spoil it because it's in a movie called In the Expanse, so I won't... he says he went on that ride at Disney. There was a UFO type ride. Ward Kimball. Thank you, Thomas. So Ward says, Thomas says it was Ward Kimball. There is a big backstory here. So here's the challenge with UFO disclosure. It keeps coming forward and then we forget about it. And we move on to the next decade and we forget about people like Ward Kimball and the UFOs past, present, and future documentary. Someone put a lot of effort into trying to bring this in front of the public. And maybe they decided, okay, we're going to show them. Let's see how they react. Our government, let's show them. And then we go, okay, that's interesting. Okay, I'm going on to the next thing. We forget about it. And they say, well, they're not ready because they're not talking. And we're talking about it now. But, in the 70s when Past, Present, and Future was released, it had two versions. The second version had cow mutilations. The first version, yeah. But Jacques Vallée, I think, was more prominent in the second version. The first one was mostly Rod Serling.
It seems funny, too, that we have been conditioned. 50 years ago, they did the Brookings Institute study about whether society could handle the UFO presence and the existence of extraterrestrials. And they said it caused tremendous, wars and social unrest and religion and all this stuff. And now, 50 years later, after we've been conditioned with so many different types of aliens, from cute little ET to, alien, that we're very numb to it. So numb that when the government releases 3 videos from the best sensory equipment, from the highest caliber witnesses, with multiple witnesses, multiple forms of data, society goes, okay, what's my stocks doing? When's Wonder Woman out?
Seagulls, buddy. Seagulls.
Seagulls.
Oh, speaking about these release of these videos, Paco Chirichi was on Chant Hanna's broadcast. I haven't heard him talk as much. That was really fun to listen to his point of view. The first guy to fly to see the Tic Tac.
Oh, it was Paco.
Was Paco the first? Well, someone will straighten me out here. He was one of the pilots that saw it. I believe he was I thought he was the first, and then he came back, and then they said, Kevin Day says to the commander, we need to launch. We need to go check this out, sir. And then Fravor and the other folks. Then they send up a third plane after that with the video, the FLIR.
I think the first witness is that secret witness I'm not going to talk about that hasn't come out yet, but a lot of people behind the scenes know who that person is, an incredibly inspiring figure, and this person has chosen not to come out. I released those person's name and rank and all that stuff.
Buddy, they said her name on the show over and over.
Oh, they did? Okay, so...
Alex.
Lieutenant Alexandre Dietrich.
That's right. No, her name was mentioned, so you're not going to take the heat for this anymore because it was all over the... Paco was mentioning her name, so I guess it's okay if her fellow co-pilots are mentioning it. Chad Underwood. Yeah, the Chad Underwood. I'm getting the sequence here a little out of order. It was Chad. Chad was the first, right? And who went back to film it afterwards? Who was the FLIR person after Fravor came back, if someone remembers it? Oh, Paco filmed the video. So Paco Chirichi. Okay, thank you, Ziegler. Paco was the one that went out with the FLIR camera. And he switches it to different modes, and we see it. And Paco spent a lot of time talking, by the way, about why no one else got video, which is kind of a good question. If these people carry their phones, and we saw with the party balloon, the Batman party balloon recently, that someone had taken that with their iPhone. Well, whatever that was, folks, I don't know. That sort of...
I don't think it's a party balloon. If it's a party balloon the size, it would have to be gigantic. Just... do the physics, okay?
It's a Batman party balloon at 30,000 feet, sure.
Sure, at that distance, and it definitely. I did a reading on it, and it definitely isn't. I mean, I don't think it's a party balloon. I don't think it's space trash. I don't think it's anything that we would call traditional. Let's say.
No, and Thomas is saying here that the Navy. Thomas, do you think the Navy is still threatening to pull people's retirement if they talk about this? Because I have talked to Air Force people who I haven't been able to put on yet for you guys, who've seen a lot, and they said they were concerned about their retirement. benefits. Is this still threatening people? You know, this is just unacceptable. We don't know. We're not allowed to talk about what the universe is really made of because people are being threatened with retirement benefits. Something you and I, buddy, don't have to worry about. We'll never be threatened with losing our retirement benefits. We don't have any.
Steal this income, you know.
You can't do anything to us. That's why we can do this crazy freaking show. Because we have no retirement benefits to lose. Isn't that great?
You know, it's funny how, I guess Mitch McConnell was saying, you know, people don't need, you know, this communist, socialist $2,000. Wait a minute. We want food. We need to eat that $2,000 from the stimulus, you know. People have projected.
Yes, people don't need that $2,000. What do they need $2,000 for? They're just unemployed and about a month from being evicted from their homes and don't have anything to eat. Well, they don't need extra. Buddy, if this were me, I'd be giving every adult $2,000 until this thing was over and done with. It's not anyone's fault that this came into our country, at least for those of in the U.S., even those of you in the UK. I would just be paying people and telling them, you know, support your local restaurants. Go to takeout a lot. I don't know. It's ridiculous. That's what I would do.
It seems like it's so illogical to me. This is a global pandemic. You cannot handle it individually, locally. You have to handle it at a larger scale. And I said 6 months ago that if everyone in the U.S. knew that they had 2 weeks to prepare and then 3 weeks we had to do the indoor thing again, that we could have been done.
We could have been done with this months ago.
We could do it right now. If we said, let's have 2 weeks to prepare, and then we'll spend 3 weeks indoors, we would massively hammer this virus.
That's what Australia and New Zealand did, and it's done. It's
so well.
Gone.
They're gone.
And Australia is a huge country, and they eradicated it just by everyone stay home unless you absolutely have to just do it for 2-3 weeks, and they did it.
And then the opposite was Switzerland, who said, let's go for the group immunity thing, and look what happened. It didn't work, and that's what's going on here in the U.S.
Yeah, herd immunity.
It's very tragic. Herd immunity, yeah. Herd immunity.
Yeah, that was Boris Johnson's idea, I think, in the UK. I love you guys in the UK, but that was not Boris Johnson. I don't agree with him. I don't agree with his scientific advisors.
It's really simple.
About herd immunity and exposing as many people who are below a certain age to it. This is just... There's too many unknowns about this virus. We don't really know what's going to happen, but...
And you can't placate political parties when lives are at stake. You know, I know if you really want people to get their jobs back and their restaurants to reopen, because right now restaurants are damaged for a year. These are restaurants are closing. All sorts of industries are closing that revolve around groups, entertainment, so many different things. They're dusted, and all the ancillary workers are dusted. But if we really cared about the money, and we cared about this thing that people say why they don't want closures, we would do the most harshest, strict, scientific, logical reaction to a global pandemic is not respond locally, respond globally. Because if everyone's doing something different, it can always come back to you next freaking week. It seems so simple, Doc.
Well, look, we had a federal government that said, don't worry about it. The chances of you getting this are very, very low. Just don't worry. That's what the Trumpster said. And he knew while he was talking to Bob Woodward. What do we find out? He had been told this was going to be a disaster. And look,
history's going to excoriate him.
For those of you who don't like Trump, he was raised by a father who was really into the power of positive thinking, Norman Vincent Peale. That's what you get with only positive thinking, is you never talk about anything negative. Don't talk about it. It's a trap. So Super Sleuth. Yes.
Super, I love Super.
Sleuth is here. We're ringing Buddy through my speakers. I'm sorry. I can't quite figure out why we couldn't duplicate what we did last time, bringing him up through the audio through Skype. It's a workaround. We'll figure it out for next time, I promise. Let's see. Omar is here. Hey, Omar. It was so great seeing you in the RV class. Let them eat cake. Yes, that's what it's coming down to. By the way, folks, about RV, if you are interested, I'm having my live class January 9th, 10th. Love to have you there.
What level is it?
It's the beginning class. We'll do an intermediate again, and then we'll do an advanced one at some point. But if anyone wants to do the class, just, you can look on my blog and you can sign up for it. It's January 9th, 10th, and we'll go over the basic CRV. And if you're interested, so Omar was in our class, and we had a great time when we did live classes. Buddy was there. Bloody came out to Boulder, and we had a lot of fun.
Loved it. Very powerful for me. I learned the techniques directly from Ingo. You're the only one who's preserved his techniques and specific things, and you've really added, essentials to it from your own perspective too. So it's really this wonderful gift from Ingo to you that you're giving to us.
Oh, thank you, buddy. And I appreciate your comments earlier, and you, Thomas, of course, appreciate your comments earlier today on Twitter. I did see those. I don't know if I'm the best teacher, but I'm just doing it the way I learned it, and having met Ingo and, read so many books, just distill it down. This is just one system, the CRV system. But the reason, here's why I think it's important. What I like about CRV is you start with this blank page, and your conscious mind says, I can't do it, but you do it. That's what I like about RV. Your conscious mind doesn't think you can do it. What's happening? You're just sitting there with a piece of paper and a pen, but you do it. And that shows, yeah.
You shut off that conscious mind. You learn to turn off that cynic. Turn off that
you don't believe it. That you learn not to believe it, which is healthy, because when you encounter the unknown, it doesn't feel as scary the next time because you survived it in your RV session. So when you really meet those Draco reptilians from Antarctica, you won't be afraid. Guys, you won't be afraid. That's Omar says vitamin D3 for all. Absolutely. Omar and everyone, I've done a lot of research on this recently. Vitamin D is inversely related to COVID. COVID is related to vitamin D deficiency. We're really getting a good picture of this. Have your 2,000 or 4,000 units of vitamin D a day. Just look this up on your own. There's plenty of evidence now that vitamin D is very closely linked to COVID. So thanks for bringing that up.
It's crucial for your immunity.
Crucial. It's a hormone, and it signals the immune system. Take it at night before you go to bed. It signals. It triggers the immune system to be very vigilant. It gets the communicators between the antibodies in good shape. So it's a good tool for internal communication. Vitamin D. You can't get enough sun.
From as much natural sources as you can, because you get the better molecules.
Yeah. There you can get it from lichen. There's a lot of different sources.
Green veggies.
It has to be turned. I was watching a show about this the other day. It has to be turned into a variety of chemicals. It gets processed, and it ends up, when it works properly, in the form it should be. So it does matter if you take it, magnesium, but anyway, that's just my opinion. I guess this is technically not a medical show, and I can't tell you that this is a fact. I'm just saying, look at it, and you'll see that a lot of evidence for the role of vitamin D and other supplements. But vitamin D is a very important one, so thank you.
How about that oleander thing from the pillow guy who gave it to Trump, and Trump did that thing about, the oleander, and you never heard about it again.
What was that?
It was some oleander thing from the pillow guy. We'll pass it, but
Oleander thing. Okay. So Zignal says, treat people like adults. We do okay. Yeah, the UK dragged its heels, and our federal government here really dragged its heels. This could have been done in March or April, buddy. You are right. If we had just taken it seriously, and it's not something we've encountered in a long time.
We still could. In 2 months, we could have restaurants open again. If we had it just nationally, not globally, which would be the best way to do it, is if we came together globally for a global pandemic and said, regardless of all of our differences, let's come together and have this group meeting and decide how and when we could best take 2 weeks to prepare for 3 weeks indoors. And we would be done in less than a month.
That's right.
2 months.
Yeah. Now, Thomas I agree, buddy. It's true. Thomas is saying that the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, they're still locking up doctors who are talking about this. And that's what happened, if you remember, folks, a year ago. The doctor from that Wuhan lab who came forward and said, folks, someone in our lab got it. It's dangerous. And he was arrested. This is not what you do when you want to know the truth, folks, whether it's about viruses or UFOs or any anomalies. You don't lock up people like we did 500 years ago. This is why I detest communism.
And Doc,
awful system. Any system that censors people from telling the truth, I'm against that system. I will fight that.
Dangerous repercussions. You can't hide the truth of the damage that COVID can do, or how to handle it. You can't hide it because it's going to come out. And that's the same thing with UFOs. You can try to hide it.
Exactly.
You can do disinformation. You can do all these different things. But the reality is you're missing out on opportunities to have a better existence for both of them. The UFOs.
Yes.
And
reality can be chaotic and messy. And those of us that live in, democratic republics, democracies, we like the public discourse. We like the dialogue. Even Buddy and I don't agree on everything. You see, right in the show, we have different viewpoints on things. We still talk to each other. You can have different viewpoints and coexist with people. You don't all need to agree. That is a total mistake. And I will challenge any system that tries to shut us up that way.
I think it has dangerous, we've spoken about this before, the dangerous possibilities of pressurizing the truth. And when you put the truth in a pressure cooker, it builds over time.
And
it starts
boom.
to build up energy, and boom, something happens. There are people who have abilities to do things. And if you try and say, no, it's going to pop out in different weird ways and stresses and all sorts of different stuff. Who knows the consequences of not releasing the UFO information?
Well, this is the thing, is there's lots of witnesses out there, folks. I keep saying this. I know there are a lot of witnesses because I heard them at the citizen hearing, and I've talked to many others, and you've never heard of some of these people that I've talked to because they don't want to come forward yet. I mean, there have to be many.
I'm a dear friend who's a scientist who has witnessed extraordinary, amazing crap with me. Craft, Contact was the first person to see Shorty at Galileo, and all these different, and that incredible scientist doesn't want to come out because it could damage his company. And there's so many scientists like that who've seen, experienced things, but don't want to come out. So kudos to the scientists who risk everything to come out and talk about it.
Buddy and I are inviting you to come to the other side here where we're not afraid of what's going to happen. Buddy and I are already on the other side. You can't do anything to us. We don't work for anybody. And we like to explore these topics, but there are other people that are still afraid that we know who, for a variety of reasons, don't really want to have these types of discussions because, I don't know, people are just afraid of someone, what they're going to think of them. I'm inviting you folks not to worry about what people think about. You're going to see that you were right about all of this stuff. It just takes time for society to catch up to people that are looking at these because there's a lot of institutions that want to reward the old structure. And we're getting comments in here, Buddy, right now from people in the UK. Zignal and Anna Whitty, hi Anna, are talking about a shipping company that got this COVID money from the UK government and they don't even have any ships. They're a shipping company with no boats. They're just friends of the government. See, that's the thing is once the government centralizes power in an emergency, they start rewarding to their buddies. And we've seen a lot of this in the UK, and I'm sure here in the US, though I for some reason I'm not as familiar with it.
I couldn't get this first stimulus check. And I paid into the system my entire life. And they kept denying me, saying they couldn't provide, verify, it's completely ridiculous. So I may not even get this next stimulus check. I'm having actually a social worker help me to see if they can do anything behind the scenes.
Yeah. I was there that day, Buddy, in Madison Square Park, where you had just come from your agent, where you had gotten paid for an acting gig on that TV show.
Oh, yes,
Gotham. So I know that you're in the system because there's no way you could be getting a check from Gotham without it going through payroll taxes, all this other stuff.
You want to hear something funny, too? I went to get Medicaid.
Yeah.
And I went to the Medicaid office, and this is New York City, but I'm in the Bronx, which is different. There's far less actors here. But the Medicaid office says, well, you have all this income from all, 30 different companies. But as an actor, you get residuals. Or a stand-up comedian, like comedy shows I've done. You get residuals, and they happen over years and years and years. So what they said to me is, we can give you Medicaid if you get a letter from all of those companies saying you're not a current employee.
Jeez, really?
Wow. Which is impossible. A lot of these I get the checks from payroll companies, and I don't even know who the maid. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The system is very whacked. But you know what? Ultimately, we have each other, and we are uplifting each other. And the past year, I've learned so many wonderful things by being, on the street with people going through adversity. I've seen, I've been there for healings with elderly people who are not undocumented. They don't have their citizenship, and they're scared to get basic medical treatment because they're afraid they'll be sent back to their their home, their original country. And we have so many blessings, and we don't during this time of adversity, we should be judged not how we are during the good times, but how we are during the bad times.
We should, and we should appreciate what we have, folks. We can have this open discussion on YouTube here, and we can do this. If we were in communist China, this would have been shut down because the internet there is regulated and controlled. By the way, in that Hong Kong law they passed, they made it illegal to criticize the Chinese Communist Party, even from other countries. So we're all breaking the law right now. Hello, come and arrest us. I'm looking forward to it. I got a question for you from Omar, buddy. He said he got the Muse headset.
I love the Muse.
He wanted some recommendations from you about, do you like it? What's your feeling about the Muse?
I love the Muse. You have to, first they've got meditation programs, which are absolutely fantastic. They help you work on your heart rate. You can literally learn to control your heart rate, which is incredible. The repercussions of learning to control your heart rate are amazing. There are times when you can have fight or flight instinct and your heart's going like this, or stressed out. I think kids should be taught this stuff. How to control your own heart rate. It's really basic. How to control your body, how to control your mind, breathing, all these different things. And then they also have an app you can purchase that allows you to see your exact brain waves. And you can learn to control your different brain waves. And so there are certain brain waves that you get when you're being really creative or in a dream state or all these different things. So let's say you're working on a project, you've tapped out on your regular ideas, and you're like, you know what? I want to get some brainstorming, some new level of inspiration. I will work on getting my gamma way up and then reapproach the subject again and see if I get the benefit of having more brain mastery, control of my own instrument. I think the Muse has been one of the single best, things for me and my abilities to find stillness and so many different things. One important thing is they calibrate for different activities you do. They calibrate. So when the calibration is happening, make sure you do a really strong calibration way to the end of difficulty so that when you actually do the exercises and stuff, they will be at a very tough range. And it really challenges you. So, those are just a couple things. Omar, reach out to me direct, brother, and I'll walk you through anything. I can teach you how to activate the different brain waves. I'll tell you the program. I think this is such a crucial thing. Everyone should learn this stuff. It's so helpful. It's been dramatically helpful for me.
Now, buddy, I have to say, excuse me, I've been meditating for a long time. Meditation is also a good way, even before you start RV, for anyone to realize that you are actually making all of this happen. It doesn't seem like that when it's on autopilot, but when you quiet your mind, whatever meditation, I use TM, I have a mantra. When you quiet things down a little bit, twice a day preferably, you realize you're creating a lot of drama in your mind and in your life that you just need to take responsibility that you're it's like in RV, you realize your conscious mind might not be always accurate, so you write down what it's saying, but you don't believe it. And it's the same with meditation. You see a lot going on, you realize, okay, let's let that go for a little bit. And then you realize there's this kind of amazing, calm stillness. You're surrounded. There's this universe which is bigger than all of this. And it puts things in perspective. So you stop reacting. This news cycle we're in, even the internet now the way it is, it's got us reacting a lot, and this echo chamber, And those of us here, folks, if you're listening now, we want to inject some reality into the echo chamber, real facts, reality of what's really going on with a lot of these topics, not just the same old BS. So anyway,
You know, I remember, and I won't forget this. Remember this game here, Mind Flex Duel?
Yeah, I do.
I brought it up to the event, and everyone was playing with these different things that allows you to play with these different brainwaves. The first time you put it on, you were like, it was unbelievable how great you were at it. How you were able to make the ball go boom, down when you wanted, and go when you wanted. And that was based on your, 20 years of meditation. Finding that stillness, getting your base range, having control of your own mind and body.
40.
Such a basic thing. Huh?
40 years
of meditation. Wow.
I started at 14. There was a TM center nearby here in Westchester, where I'm at the moment, staying with my mom. And there was a TM center, and we went down there. Back then, it was $75 to get a mantra. What is it to get a mantra now from TM? I don't know if they still do it. It must be thousands. Back then, it was a bargain. Renee is saying hi to Sausages.
Renee. Oh, Renee. You want to see a little appearance of Sausages? She's doing a little better now.
She's calling Sausages chill with the dog. So
I don't know if you can see her or not. There she is. Can you see that?
Sausages.
Oh, I'm so nuts about this little girl. Every night we curl up and snuggle. She sleeps under my arm.
So cute.
She gives me little kisses. Her little mouth will come and go, and then go back to sleeping with her head on my shoulder. Oh, I'm crushed.
Yeah, those pets and animals are very important. They're not affected by all of this, and they still have their heads screwed on the right way, and they know what's important, which is snuggling and feeling good and having fun.
That's a good point we're getting into right now. These abilities, RV, I had an amazing session the other day, an outbounder, naming targets. It's incredible. You can get almost manic with how incredible this stuff is.
Yeah.
UFOs, it's exciting, incredible. COVID is scary. The conspiracies, all these different things, they are what they are. But you know what? We cannot forget the most important thing is love.
That's right.
And
no, it's true.
You bring yourself back to get grounded in love. Giving it fills you with it. If you're down and you're down-spirited now, give love to something and you will reap the benefits tenfold.
Yeah, it's what makes the universe go round.
Yeah, it's what it's all worth for. It's the great gift we've been given for all the adversity we go through. We get loved.
Well, and everyone's saying hi to Sausages. Anna's saying Sausages is the best.
I love Sausages. And every sorcerer must have a familiar, and she is mine.
Good. I'm glad. Hello, Jan. And we got Chris.
Yanni's here. Oh, my God.
So, buddy, we've gone through an hour here, but I want to see. So my prediction was that the multiverse makes an appearance in 2021 in some way that it hasn't before. I'm really convinced of this. I could be wrong, but I have a feeling it's going to show up. We've talked about it. It's been kind of theoretical, but I think you're actually going to see some evidence of this. Time slips, space-time anomalies, things that just show it's not exactly what it seems to be. It's not always so continuous. There are gaps. I mean, it's how RV works, is you can bridge some of these gaps.
Maybe the next episode we could go through some of the predictions. I've got 3 pages of predictions. I did some on my channel, and just a little. I've got 3 pages of these very specific predictions. Last year's turned out, literally, I could do the calculation to just give last year's to someone around 80-85% of the stuff, even crazy accurate things like dump your stocks, before the end of January. And
you did say that.
Beginning of February. They went boom, and I even gave 800 points times 3, and it did 800 points, and then blah blah blah. And I said, all these different things. It doesn't matter. I also said about the female major first in politics.
Yeah, you did say that. You did say that, and now we've got Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Who could be a future president? Wouldn't that be so cool to have Kamala Harris? Well, I'm just okay, guys.
She will be at some point.
I'm on the Democratic side. I did a lot of work for Obama. I want to say here. We got a comment from Chris. Hi, Doc and Buddy. I found you guys when you started, and I never write or comment, but it's about time. I want to stop and say thanks to both of you. Well, thank you, Chris. We really appreciate it. We're just here to have some fun and entertain and keep the spirits going, because We're on the trail of some big stuff here, folks. I'm telling you, where this is going to go, you won't believe it. We're just at the start.
And you know what?
Yeah.
To reinforce that, Doc,
yeah.
We are on the, we talk about the, being on the reality's edge, but we really are. We all who are watching this channel know we're kind of all like Galileos, really touching the newest physics. The top scientists that I've talked with and been working with all say that there is some sort of substructure, some sort of field that allows everything to connect to everything, not just in woo-woo or Akashic record or all these different real physicists, real top scientists. They're exploring this stuff big time. And we're doing it all together now. And consciousness is at the key of so many different aspects of science right now. It's at that pivotal point.
And it started with this COVID thing, because this just showed us that nobody really knows what's going on. Science is kind of disorganized. It's what consensus? There's no consensus even about COVID. We know it can harm you, but it took a long time to figure out what's going on. How are they going to deal with extraterrestrials if we can't even deal with an earthly virus? Look how chaotic this is. There's no plan. I mean, it's.
We are like the first 5 people who believed Galileo when Galileo said, you know what, maybe the universe doesn't revolve around Earth. It's better to know the reality than say, I definitely know it's this way, rather than let the universe tell you what it is, and keep an open mind. We're on the verge. We're in the front row seats of the most extraordinary moment in human history.
Yes,
let's forget COVID for a second.
Yeah.
But the UFO, ET reality combined with the powers of consciousness, the fact that UFOs constantly, empirically display consciousness effects. They know that there's a combination. The top aerospace legends talked about how ESP and UFOs are interwoven. The legendary Ben Rich from Skunkworks, when asked about, how do UFOs work, he said, let me ask you a question. What do you know about ESP?
Yeah.
There's a field, folks. You
Yeah.
can access it. The universe is more dynamic than you know. You are more dynamic than you know.
It's true, and I see, it's all true, buddy, and I see Chris Mellon and Luis Elizondo and Steve Justice leaving TTSA as highly significant, because what Elizondo said is, we're not in the entertainment business. This is too serious for that. We're not against entertainment, but we're here for disclosure, and that's it. And I expect folks those guys, those 3 of them at least, are really serious about bringing this out. They wouldn't have quit if they weren't dead set on more videos coming out, more evidence, more witnesses, and more, as someone's saying, as Signal just said, Kamala Harris was on the committee in the Senate, got briefed, that put the UAP language into the Senate, into this defense bill, so she knows what's going on. We need more discussion about this, and not just those of us. I loved this on YouTube. I love all you guys and all these great shows, that UFO podcast and Project Unity. We got great folks, but this should be coming out of it shouldn't be just us. It should be the whole society should be engaged with this topic. So people are not afraid when these things land in their backyard, or they float up to your window, or they do whatever. I don't know why they do all this stuff. But we need to talk about why they're doing it, right?
And, by denying the reality of disclosure, we're being denied the next really super important questions. We're being denied a reflection on ourselves. Once we realize that our planet is so precious and beautiful, and our biosphere is so precious and beautiful that other races are visiting and studying it, we should realize how precious we are. There's only one humans. It's all of us. It could unite us in a way that even Reagan spoke about at the UN.
Yeah, and if we lived in flying saucers, if we lived above the ground, we could start deconstructing a little bit, taking away some of the concrete, turning off some of the roads and letting it regrow for for water and for all the purifying things that trees do and the animals, and so that it's a kind of coherent ecosystem again, instead of us fragmenting it for the, I don't know why we do this. we're cutting off our own life support system. It doesn't make any sense what we're doing. This makes no sense.
A lot of people are projecting their religious dogmas and other things on top of it too. Even Luis Elizondo said, I mentioned this before, that his boss thought they were demonic and was projecting all this religious stuff on top of it. Well, we don't even, really know what the heck is going on. I believe I know certain things and have insights into certain things, but there's a million different possibilities out there, and I keep an open mind no matter what I've seen or experienced myself. And I think we all do that. Keep an open mind and explore diligently.
Yeah, demonic my ass.
Exactly.
Where the hell did they get off saying something like that? It's unknown. We don't know. I'm willing to show me some evidence. Show us the evidence. It could be a lot of things. There could be so many types of ETs like there are types of people. You can't categorize them and just say they're all one thing or the other. And we can't let that narrow religious mindset limit us from exploring. This is our right as beings on the planet, natural beings that are to know about this. No government. They don't have the right to prevent us from knowing about this, folks. They do not have the right. It's not legal. You do not have the right to know about the electromagnetic field. You don't have the right. BS. Kiss Dr. Simeon Hines' demonic ass. That's right. Thank you. It's like saying don't study the electromagnetic field. It could be demonic. That's what they used to say about vacuums. Vacuum spaces in glass tubes, that it was demonic. They said that about the electromagnetic field at the beginning because they put two different rods on a dead frog's leg and it jumped. Yes. Somehow was using, life force energy. The time for this BS is over. I've had enough of it. And I love the discussions we have here and all the folks on YouTube, everyone who's doing such a great job. It's these citizen researchers, as Steve Bassett called them, that are doing all the heavy lifting now. We did have Stephen Greenstreet. He's very good, from the New York Post, right? Yep. With the basement office. I love that show, by the way. He did such a good job. This is a guy that went out to Utah to study some topic out there, and he saw a triangular craft near Salt Lake City, got his interest going. But I don't think that show's going anymore. I think they stopped it. No, they did stop it, yeah. Yeah, all the good stuff. This is BS, folks. We're not going to put up with it. We're going to find out what's going on here. We're not going to quit. I'm not quitting until we have good, solid. I used to be co-captain of the debate team. I know what facts are. We need the facts in high school. We need this to come out like on a debate team where we have different points of view. I'm perfectly happy to discuss. People don't have to believe in it, but let's have it out in the open. Bam, bam. And we're denying our kids and the future generations so many different things, not just the philosophical questions, but we're denying them the science and physics and, most importantly, inspiration. Right. The inspiration that we're in a gigantic, glorious universe. Yes. It's so powerful of an inspiration. Zignal is talking about, then there's the mycelial network. For those of you who have been watching the most recent Star Trek Discovery, I love that show, by the way. They're on season 3. I don't know how they did it. They kept the feeling of Star Trek alive for me. Someone that grew up with Spock and Captain Kirk in the 70s. That's the first show I ever watched was Star Trek, buddy. On a little black and white TV set in the city where we lived on the Upper West Side. And you had this little that's all we had. We were limited to 2 hours a day or something. And that was Star Trek. And I love Discovery. They've kept it alive. And they've gotten into this mycelial network. Now, folks, one thing before we go. We're getting to the sort of the end here. But there's a great documentary to watch called Fascinating Fungi. Fascinating Fungi. Check it out. It's on all the streaming services. Fascinating Fungi. It's about Paul Stamets, who's actually a character on Discovery, the science officer. He's actually a real character on her. He's a person that just looks at fungus and mycelial networks. So the thing about these mycelium and so Thomas is saying mycelium, psilocybin. There are huge networks of fungi that go beneath the surface of the soil. Every place you're standing on soil, there's 300 miles of invisible networks of mycelia, which, you know what they do? They share things with trees, and the trees give them things they need, and they kind of all work together to make this whole freaking thing work. So we should say thank you, Mycelial Network, for doing
Thank you, Mycelial.
That's where mushrooms come from, and all they're in everything. In fact, every breath you take, you're breathing in 10 mushroom spores.
We're so connected to everything.
We're so
connected.
connected.
We cannot disconnect. We cannot unplug ourselves from nature. We cannot unplug ourselves from the reality that we're part of a dynamic, glorious universe. We can't separate us from the reality that we are all one.
And it extends out into the universe, which is what the ETs are using. They're using the Mycelial Network to get here. I wouldn't be surprised. Listen, it's Star Trek. It's science fiction, but I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out to be true. They did have these little handheld things in the Star Trek when I watched in 1970 that turned out to be cell phones. We have them now.
And we have them a lot better than Kirk did.
We have them better
no
than...
screen on it, no image. It was like an old Motorola Star Tac.
Yeah, and they had the tricorder.
Yeah, the tricorder, yeah.
I actually... Buddy, have you ever been to a Star Trek convention?
No, I wanted to for many years.
They were fun. I did go to one in Washington State when I was a grad student there in the late 80s with another Trekkie fan. It was really fun. We met Marina Sirtis, who plays Deanna Troi on the Voyager. No, she was on Next Generation, sorry. With Worf and everything. It was a lot of fun. But that show generated a lot of it generated a lot of imagination for me. So I wouldn't be surprised.
It inspired me. Star Trek inspired me. I got a really quick funny story. When The Wrath of Khan first came out, I was a huge lover of Captain Kirk. And when William Shatner came to my little theater in Coral Gables, Florida, the Miracle Theater, there was a premiere there, the red carpet for him and everything, and I'm right there at the end of the red carpet. Even like the theater security said, yeah, maybe you can get an autograph if you stand up, far on the where the stanchion things are, the red carpet and the poles. And I said, Mr. Shatner, can I have an autograph? And he was like, no. And he just went past and he went inside and sat in this roped off section. And they said, well, maybe before the show starts, you could go over and ask. And there was like a line of people going up to try and ask him.
Yeah.
And so I saw people just going away from him very quickly. And when I went up and asked, he said, no autographs today, thank you.
Oh.
It crushed the heart of this little teeny tiny buddy. And ever since then, I thought, William Shatner's a galactic douche. And, but that was my Star Trek experience. But Star Trek inspires. These discussions inspire the youth. Let's not deny them, Don. Doc, I also want to say really quickly, people have been asking about us demonstrating and not just showing things.
Yes.
I think in one of our next episodes, we should show some stuff. I would love to do a live RV, or maybe get feedback from the audience if they want RV or they want some other thing. We should show some of the stuff. Maybe you can monitor me,
why don't we? Let's talk about it as soon as we're done. Next week, why don't we do another show or something, and we can do a follow up with this one while the year is still fresh. Yes. We'll talk about it in a minute as soon as we finish. How about that? I'm open to that, folks. I love demonstrations. Yeah, we could do some targets. It's fun. One thing Renee is mentioning here, which is potentially serious, it's people's reactions to flu vaccines. And so I've been reading a lot about the COVID vaccine. It's not a flu vaccine. It's not a live virus. They artificially assembled a protein spike, which your body destroys very quickly because it's RNA. It's messenger RNA. Your body destroys it within it. That's why they have to put it inside a little piece of fatty lipid. But I do know people. There's a nurse that lives down the street here near my mom's a nurse who had to take the flu shot, and she was paralyzed for years, she told me. I ran into her one day out here. She knew my parents, having grown up. She had 5 years of paralysis from a mandatory flu shot. And this is a nurse, and she had a reaction to it, and they blamed it on her immune system. But nonetheless, it happened the same day that she got the shot. She couldn't walk. She's better now. So, folks, I don't blame you for being suspicious of vaccines. And there have been
people have gotten it already. We shouldn't, be too scared. I think
that's what I'm trying to say. Is this is not like a live virus that's been attenuated. This is an inert piece of artificially constructed proteins that your body shreds very quickly. They put it in a fat droplet so it doesn't get shredded. It just presents it to the immune system, and the immune system says, okay, take that 1 or 2 cells in your body that knows what this is, and let's multiply. It takes about a week or 2 weeks for your body to create millions of antibodies.
I would do it.
And I'd be more inclined to do this in the flu shot, folks. I'm just saying my point of view. I'm not telling you what to do. I've read about it. My mom is against these things, but we're in a very serious situation, and I feel like, I'm just going to say from my point of view, I'm less concerned about this mRNA vaccine than flu vaccines, just because I've listened to how it's created and how weak it is. It's a weak little thing that gets shredded. It's just as long as your body can see it once, it'll know what to do.
There's a real
that's
danger
my feeling
in
about
not taking the virus, and not the quicker we solve this, the less mutations we give the virus an opportunity to take on.
Yeah.
And as time passes, without us getting to this immunity, group immunity, herd immunity,
Thomas is, yeah, I agree with that, buddy. Thomas is saying that they've been developing a SARS-CoV vaccine for a while. People have been damaged by it, but not the mRNA. I've heard about some reactions to this. My understanding is you can't react to it like a flu vaccine because it doesn't last very long in there, and your immune system just destroys it. But it knows, it's seen it, and it will. That's my so my feeling, folks. You make your own decision. Is I'm open to receiving it if I'm convinced it's going to help. I would be open to it, but I'm not telling you what to do, folks. That's just my point of view, and I think Buddy's saying the same thing. So
I'm saying,
nobody told us to say this. I just have thought about it a lot because I have so many friends who are against vaccines, and I don't take them. I don't take flu shots, but this is different. So that's just my feeling. You don't have to agree with me. That's just my feeling about it.
Like with everything, you should research. And you should be very discriminating as to what research you accept as truth. There's a lot of wacky conspiracies out there about the virus that, this and that, and they're not going to get into it because everyone's entitled to their beliefs. And I don't know that I'm, the master of knowledge, which I know that I'm not. But just be discriminating. Give everything an open mind and a chance, and do diligent research. And weigh the benefits for yourself and your family.
Yeah, just to take time. If you want to wait a little time, like Thomas is saying, wait a little time to do it. I don't think it'll be available for a while for most of us anyway. My HMO said that they had it, and I didn't go back. But I don't know I think it's really for the most at-risk people. If you keep yourself healthy, you take your vitamin D, you do the things that you need to be doing, you'll probably be okay.
But think positive.
Yeah, and don't see. Here's the main thing, folks. Here's something we can all agree on. Don't react with fear. Fear is the mind killer. Don't react with fear to us. Someone's saying here, our virus is alive. All this, whatever it is, there's probably some benefit to us encountering this entity in some way that we don't understand yet. So don't react with fear.
Fear is the enemy of truth.
Just react in a way that makes the most sense, but don't react off irrational fear. My mom is irrationally afraid of anything coming from the medical system, and I don't believe a lot of what the medical system says, yet if I break my bone, I'm definitely going to the emergency room. That's the way I feel about this. There are times for it when you need it, and the other rest of it, I'm not going to buy into. Believe me, I
like Thomas's thought. Let a bunch of other people try it first.
yeah. Let it. No, I understand that. That's the feeling I'm getting from people. I know so many people that are anti-vaccine, but I don't feel. I'm just saying personally. I've studied this for the past week or two. I've listened to many broadcasts. I am not afraid of this vaccine because I know how they made it. And in fact, they've never made a vaccine in 10 months before. They designed it, and it's not a living thing. It's just a kind of a thing that looks like the spike, and your body recognizes that and gets rid of it. And if it sees it again, it's already developed. It doesn't have to wait a week or two.
People have received it already.
But that's just my point of view. That's my opinion. So
yeah. Some of the facts that I find interesting is millions of people have received it already. Even people in their 90s have received it. There's no cases of deaths, no cases of paralysis yet, no cases of any major reaction except for some allergic reaction.
There's some allergic.
A couple.
It doesn't. It's not like the flu reaction, which Anna mentioned who was it mentioned, Pastor? I think Anna just mentioned that. Oh no, it was Renee. And the nurse Susan down the street here, and other people I've encountered that have had severe. That I do not personally. I don't get flu shots, but this is not the flu, guys. It's different, and I am okay with this vaccine. I haven't taken it yet. My gut is telling me it's okay. I could be wrong, but that's my reaction to it. So, you make your own decisions, folks. So, we want to wish all of you a happy New Year. Those of you already in the UK. Yeah, thank you, Chris. No, thanks for listening. I mean, it's important just to discuss this. I think if we have an open discussion like this, it's better than just having a reaction one way or another. I mean, in your mind to it. Just read here's my advice about this, and I think, Buddy, you'll agree. Make up your own mind. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Buddy. Don't listen to anybody.
About everything.
Yeah, about everything. Be your own expert. Do your own research. I take a lot of time every day to read all sorts of things. Do your own reading on it, and then you decide what's right for you. None of us really know. That's my feeling about all of these topics. I don't agree with Buddy on a lot of things. He doesn't agree with me. It doesn't matter. We agree to have a conversation.
And the discussion, you can learn so many things from the discussions and exploring the discussions. By not even having a good, open-minded discussion, you deny all sorts of possibilities.
That's right. So keep your mind open. Don't come to premature conclusions one way or another. Take
about
your
everything.
time. Get all the facts. Don't believe anybody, because everyone has an agenda some way or another. I mean, Buddy and I really don't. We're doing this for fun. But, I mean, don't believe it just because some expert said it. Honestly, folks, do your own research. The information is there now. All these topics. Look what a fun time it is. UFO stuff's coming out. God, guys, this is going to be so much fun.
This coming year is going to be wonderful.
We will.
We'll see,
yes.
We'll see ups and downs, but I think we can look at this past year and say all the negative things and feel all the negative things, but we can see so many beautiful things. People uplifting each other, loving each other.
Yes.
All these things. We're getting new priorities, family, friends. So many things. I've been at many deathbeds, quite a few deathbeds, and people never say on their deathbed, "I wish I made more money." No, they wanted more love. All of them. I wish I gave more time to love. So love, gang. Be positive.
Yes.
We know consciousness affects reality, so be positive.
And we love all of you for joining us.
So much. Thank you.
And being part of our cool family of participators here. Galileos. You're all mini Galileos, so thank you very much. And we will see you. Happy New Year. And we will see you all on Reality's Edge. Take care for now.
Some people say that I have soul. I don't know. There's only one thing I know for sure. If you watch Reality's Edge with Doc and Buddy, you will get ahead. By a foot.
Yeah, boss, but we've tried everything. And they keep shooting at us. Yeah, we've preserved all the biological data. Okay, we'll just let them kill themselves. Oh, crap. Alexa? Off! Alexa. Turn off, Alexa. Stop recording. Oh, crap. Is this live?